Hello, beautiful butterflies. Why the light is so... Oh, that's a bit better. Hello, beautiful butterflies. Can you hear me? Hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Hello, hello, hello. How are you today? How is it going? I've got a beautiful story that I wanted to explore with you live about life purpose, and a story that I found in this book, which is The Secret History of How Angel, Mystics, and Higher Intelligence Made Our World. Hello everybody, welcome. Thank you for tapping the screen. And I can't wait to dive deep into this story. Funny enough, the page of the book in which this story starts, it's 222. So, some magic synchronicity here. You know how people struggle and think about their life purpose as something that they cannot understand, and they get stressed and worry about life purpose. And this story that I'm gonna narrate you today might give you some insight. I made a video with the summary of the story, but I thought if I come live and I tell the whole story a bit better, also because my reading is not the best, I am better in the live, to be honest. So if you hear me and you're ready, let me know and we can start this beautiful story. But how are you, by the way? If you have anything to tell me, how is your energy? If you've been struggling a little, or if it's all okay. So yeah, let me start. So Perceval make a fool of himself. This is a story from some Muslim culture, and it speaks about this guy that is called Perceval, and he's a son of a mother, and the mother decide to keep a secret the fact that he was the son of a famous paladins that served Carlomagno during some battles. So he was a very powerful knight, and he won battles with Roland. I don't know if you know the story of Carlomagno and Roland and the battles between the French and the Saracens. Anyway, that is not the point. So the mother didn't tell to his son who was the father, and because she didn't want the child to suffer the pain of the court life and the knights, and she tried to like keep him in a bowl to save him from the some weird destinies. So she took her child and they went to live in a forest, and they were living really simply with nothing, just washing themselves in the river, eating berries, and just away from the noble side of life, let's say. And one day the child was playing in the forest, and he saw 3 knights, and he kind of remained shocked because he never seen knights before. And when he saw those knights dressed with like full armor, the child was like, oh my god, I want to become like one of them. So he went to the mother and said, like, I've seen these knights in the forest and I want to become like that. And the mother was quite heartbroken, but eventually she understood that that was the obsession and the aim of his child, and she couldn't really stop him from going and follow his dream. So the child left. But the problem is that he didn't have no experience in life in general. He only was living with the mother in this forest, so he knew very little. And he used to dress a little bit like a fool. The mother used to dress him with like this kind of jolly, like the Joker dress. There is a little drawing in here. I don't know if you can see it. And so the mother said to him to be a good man and always defend women, and trying to stop in every church you will encounter during your travel. And the little child left. But along his journey, he kept being mocked and bullied because he was dressed like a fool and he didn't know anything, he had no life experience. And even women that were trying to like flirt with him, he didn't know what to do with them. Like, he had no experience of how to be a man, and he was only grew up with the mother in the middle of the forest. So for him was a very embarrassing time. And then one day he met this fisherman in a lake, and this fisherman looked really ill, but he was a fisherman king. But of course Perceval didn't know that. Perceval. And this fisherman said, if you keep searching, you will find a castle near a lake, and there are people there that are expecting you. So he went off trying to find this castle, and eventually he found it. When he arrived at the castle, immediately the servant and the people in there welcomed the guy in, and they took his horse and they showed him a room, and then they told him that there was a very big celebration going on that night. And so when he arrived at the central of this castle, there was this huge room, and there was like 400 knights all around the tables. And everyone was looking at him like he was somebody important, and they sat him at the top, like at the main seat of the table. And he couldn't understand because Perceval didn't know anything. He didn't know why 400 knights were looking at him. He didn't know why he was so welcomed in there. And during the night, they had a lot of ceremony. They were eating food and doing some rituals with crosses and gold, like a chalice that he didn't know that was the Holy Grail, actually. And the king that came inside the room was actually the same fisherman that he met previously. And the king said, you have been long expected. And Perceval was very confused, and he noticed all these knights looking at him, all this ceremony, and he felt inside like he needed to ask some question, but he was so embarrassed, and he was so used to embarrassing himself and making a fool of himself that he had no experience, that he just remained silent, even though he had this burning sensation inside of him that he was supposed to ask something. They did all this ceremony with this chalice, and by the end of the ritual, he felt that everyone was looking at him and everyone was expecting from him something, but he didn't understand what they were expecting. And even though he had this burning sensation of like needing to ask something, he just felt so overwhelmed that he was just silenced. And by the end of the ritual, he saw that the people started to be really disappointed and really sad, like he was supposed to do something, but he didn't know anything, and he didn't even have the braveness to ask what. By the end of the night, the servant showed him again his room, and they said, okay, good night. He went to sleep, and he started to have like terrible dreams, awful dreams. He felt like demonic entities in the room. He couldn't sleep. It was a disaster. And when he woke up, he found that the castle was completely desert. There was nobody. Everything was covered in dust. And he just didn't know what happened. Like, where were the people of the day before? What happened to him? Like, to the people? And when he left the castle, he heard this voice that said to him, "Cursed be he who was chosen to do great work and has not done it. Go and return no more." He felt really depressed and disappointed. He felt like a failure. He couldn't understand what was going on and what happened that night. And for 5 years after this event, he just basically embarked in one disaster after the other, just like unlucky things happening to him. Was a total mess. 5 years later, he found a noble knight, and he said, you want to join my fellowship of knights, and you want to be part of our team. And Perceval felt extremely honored and was like, yes, I really would like to. I've been very unlucky. A lot of weird things happened to me. And during the ceremony to basically they had a ceremony, when you become a knight, they do a ceremony to you. This old lady appears in the room, and she started saying that this man was not worthy. This man was not worthy of being a knight because he didn't do what he was supposed to, and also he left his mother dying in the forest. Because Perceval didn't actually know that once he left the mother, she had this terrible heart attack and she just died because he left. So after this, another humiliation and another weird things that happened, Perceval was like so depressed. It was like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but everything I do is just wrong. And so, completely depressed, he remembered the words of the mother, and the mother said to him, remember to stop every church you find. And he didn't do that, so that night he decided to enter this church that he found. And when he entered, he found this hermit, and this hermit told him a story that long time ago, God gave a very important role to a man called Titurel. And he said, you will build a castle, and in this castle you will protect the Holy Grail. And this Titurel did this castle, and in this castle there was this chalice, the Holy Grail, and he was protecting it. But for some bad things that happens in his family line, they all became really ill, and they all had like this disease in the blood. And God told him, no worry, one day a pure child, a pure fool, will come. He will ask a question, and the old disease will go, and the castle will find its new king, the king who liberate your family from this disease. And so Perceval started to realize that it was him and this is what happened to him, but he didn't have the braveness to ask, to make that fucking question, because he felt too shy, he felt like embarrassed, and he knew that he didn't do many good things in his life, so he felt so self-conscious and he actually didn't make that question. And so the hermit says, but it's never too late, because this castle can, you are the only one basically that can find this castle again. So Perceval left the church and he started to run in the forest, and eventually he found again the lake and the castle. And he went inside this castle again, and everything was there like the same night. So the 400 knights and the king, the fisherman that was ill, and they did the whole ritual again. They brought the chalice, the Holy Grail again, and finally Perceval had the braveness to ask the question, and he looked at the ill king and he said, "What ails you, great king? Like, why are you like this?" And after this question, the Holy Grail started to shine, and light filled up the whole room, and the disease was healed. And when the light came back down, he found himself sitting in the throne with a crown on his head. And so this story, basically, it's here to say that sometime to find our life purpose, we might have to go through humiliation and pain and deception. But in the end, you find the kingly part of yourself, which most of the time is the most simple side of you. Perceval was expecting, that he had to perform, that he had to be, that he had to have knowledge, and instead the most pure-hearted things that come from your heart, like a stupid question, can be the kingly part of you. So this story, while I was reading it last night, it just stuck with me, because I feel that many of us have these issues. We think that we have to be or do or achieve, or we have to perform or know, and in reality, to find the divine part of you is just embrace your pure and most innocent part of you, that is your divinity. And I don't know, for me it was quite mind-blowing, because in this journey, especially in the spiritual community, and people speak about healing and going out of the comfort zone, sometimes going out of the comfort zone, what really means, it's to find the braveness just to be the most simple you. That simple you that sometimes we judge that simplicity of ourselves, like we judge our pure essence. Sometimes people think that your divine ability has to be built or has to be studied or has to be achieved, and in reality the most divine part of you are the things that to you come so easily. Like, for example, in the case of Perceval, to be a fool, an innocent fool that makes questions and maybe doesn't know much, apparently. But as soon as he was able to get over the judgment of other people and comparing themselves to others, and he managed to ask a simple question, he became a king. So, I don't know. I just wanted to pop live and tell you this little story because to me it really touched me a lot about what we think we have to do or how we have to show up. And in reality, to find the divine part of you most of the time is just to be courageous enough to embrace your true nature. And Perceval, the name itself, means coming through the valley. So, our path can look like, full of humiliation and bumped in the road and failed and error and humiliation and like feeling like you're not enough, that you're just a fucking fool. And yet, in all of that, you still have a divine part of yourself. There is still your divinity. It's still in you, no matter what your life looked like, what your experience looked like, what your mind judge about yourself, what your life compared to others look like. So I don't know. It was just a very beautiful story, and I thought to come by just to tell you this beautiful story and hopefully give you some different perspective. I don't know if you liked it and what you think about it. But for me, it was just very enlightening. Like, sometimes we have to go through this humiliation and pain and confusion and deception, and yet discover that the most simplistic part of you was your divinity. The things that come most easy to you was actually your power all along. Oh, I lost you. I don't know if you missed the story. Yeah, I think I will post this live on YouTube because it's very cute and interesting. It was just, I was reading it last night, and it's amazing that the page in which this story starts, it's 222. And then when I read it last night, I was just like, oh my God, it's such a crazy story. Like, who would ever thought? Like, I don't know. Sometimes we just compare, like, oh, we don't have experience, oh, not this or not that, or I'm not enough, and that is all an illusion. It's literally all an illusion. The things that are most characteristic of you, including your foolishness or your innocence or your, like, it might be your divine gift and all that you have to embrace. Your goofiness or whatever. It's a metaphor, all right? So this story is just a metaphor to explain that we think we understand the divine, but we don't. We have this picture of the divine as something outside of us, that our divine self, our divine gifts are something so, I don't know, far away from us, so that we have to go in a mountain and meditate for 10,000 years before to be enlightened. And yet we don't understand that we were born divine. We were born with God within us, meaning that we never been separate from God. And the things that to us come most natural, and that perhaps most people might judge as a weakness, it's perhaps holding our true divine gift. And sometimes, in order to discover it and embracing it, we might have to go through failure and pain and humiliation. And then you think, oh, I've went through all of this for nothing, or you think, oh, I just made a fool of myself, and you feel depressed about it, and you beat yourself up about it, and yet was all in divine purpose. Like that was all was meant to be from the beginning. My shadow self in the past, I would never have spoken in public because I thought my English was not enough, or my spiritual experience were not enough, or when I make a video and it has 0 view, I feel embarrassed, I feel a fool, I feel like I've just, people will look at me and will see that like this or that, or they will criticize because I don't have what it takes, or I'm not famous yet, all this bullshit, you see, that they go in the way, they come in the way, and it seems like it's a proof, right? Because he could have thought the same. He could have thought, look, I had one humiliation after the other, I didn't do anything, every time I tried to do something I failed, I made a fool of myself in multiple occasions. And yet I'm still divine. And by him making a fool of himself multiple time again, eventually he became a king of a castle, and he was the new protector of the Holy Grail. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little story. And I hope that helped you a little bit to understand a little bit more about your divinity. It's not something, oh yes, I am, I really am, but I would like all the people to be proud of themselves too, and I would like all the people to understand that what makes them divine, it's something that to them it's really easy. And like what makes you special is what for you it's the easiest tasks of yourself, like the most something that to you come really easily, that is your divinity. Well, I hope you enjoyed butterflies. I need to go now, but enjoy the evening and make a fool of yourself. Do it. Embrace it. Because you might find, after some failures and some humiliation, you might find your divine purpose. Mwah. Ciao, ciao. Oh, Sue, you're too nice. Bye, butterflies. I will upload the live on YouTube. Ciao, ciao.